Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio, of course, by Jonathan Voico.
Yes, you can all relax. I am here.
Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
I'm going to grow a rock beard.
That would look pretty good, actually.
I know, right? Yeah.
But most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, well, that's when we're going to take your live comments and questions. You have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an observation you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Now, here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to this show on our podcast feed, either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? You know, I always tell people, and I have for years, never, ever, ever, ever pay any attention at all to online user ratings because they can be faked and manipulated. Now, the couple that you can trust are CinemaScore, because CinemaScore, they actually set up shop outside of movie theaters and actually talk to people as they're coming out of movie theaters. Also, for movies, Rotten Tomatoes audience score, because a couple of years ago, you guys will remember, that they changed their system where only votes count that come from people that have verified, bought tickets, and saw those movies. When you get to things like IMDb and other things, we've seen this over and over again. Anybody can go who's never even seen the movie and go give it a 10 out of 10 or give it a 0 out of 0.
It's 1880s Tombstone.
Yes.
It's just the Wild West.
It's the Wild, Wild West. Now, the problem, though, with Rotten Tomatoes is that they don't have any such system for television shows. They have those systems with movies because they can verify they're owned by Fandango if people actually saw and bought tickets to those movies. Great. But they can't do that with TV, and that's why I often tell people don't pay any attention to user ratings on TV shows because they're absolutely meaningless because there's no way to tell if the person registering a vote has actually seen the show or not. Case in point, the new Marvel Disney Plus show, Ironheart. Now, Ironheart dropped its first 3 episodes yesterday at 9 p.m. New York time, 6 p.m. LA time. For whatever reason, Rotten Tomatoes opened up the voting hours before that. And boy, did the organized hate campaign mobilize quick. Because as according to articles like this one in Comic Book Movie, Ironheart started getting review bombed hours before the show even aired. So people started firing in these reviews to a show they had never seen. How do we know they've never seen it? Because thousands of views report in and the show hadn't started airing yet. And so then you get the do-gooders who said, well, we're going to counter this. And they started putting in some 10 out of 10 ratings, even though they had never seen it, to try to counter the review bombing. Anyway, by the time the show started, the last number I saw was Ironheart, with thousands of reviews from people who never saw the show, had a 29%. 29% audience rating for a show that nobody in the audience had seen. Now, Rotten Tomatoes recognized this and wiped out all those reviews. They wiped all them out, and I think they blocked anybody who registered a review from reviewing on that show again. Ooh. And then they reset it to 0 once the show had been out for, I think, a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever, once the show had been out. As a result, the user rating on Ironheart now is 70%, which I could see it being around that number, to be honest with you. I can see it being around that number. Now, we're going to talk about our review of Ironheart a little bit later in the show. But Rob, I mean, once again, thankfully today, this isn't really something we have to deal with when it comes to movie audience ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, because you can trust that the people who are registering the votes actually saw the movie in question. But this remains a problem for the television side, because Rotten Tomatoes has no way of verifying whether somebody who's coming in to register a vote, pro, negative, whatever, has even actually seen the show. As referenced by the point that hours before Ironheart even came out, you had this organized hate campaign against it because, oh, black girls, or whatever it was these little dickless wannabes are feeling. But I don't know, what can be done about something like this? Does this kind of reinforce my thought that nobody should ever pay attention to user ratings online? Or are there safeguards that can be put in place? I've thought about it, Rob, and I haven't come up with a solution for it. How do you see this?
Well, first of all, it just depresses me because I mean, it's look, I understand that IPs and people are not happy with the state of the MCU and all that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to genre programming and we have built-in audiences and people that are interested, like I am interested in the MCU, good, bad, or otherwise. I look at it, I consider myself a student of entertainment. And I think whether you love something within the MCU or not, it's important that you give it a fair shake, like with anything. And the idea that somebody, look, I feel the same way about James Gunn's Superman. There's all these people that have been spewing online hatred for a movie they haven't seen for months. First, it's unhealthy. 2, don't you have anything better to do? But 3, how is anybody supposed to, in our community, how is anybody supposed to, like, does anybody have any critical faculties or acumen at all? Do you even know the difference between something that's good or bad? And I'm like, how are people supposed to, we're the audience that they're trying to please. And if our feedback suddenly becomes meaningless, which is what this does, then no one's going to listen to the audience at all. And you're going to end up in a endless feedback loop where ultimately it's going to lead to all of us getting shit all the time. And it's not helpful. Now, if you truly want to help or you truly are interested in getting great entertainment, when something isn't great, you call it out in a way that's, I don't know, useful. Is that too much to ask? And when you're review bombing a show, that really doesn't say good things about you personally. And I hate it because look, we did not like Jurassic World Refund.
No, but I was excited about that movie, and I've spent months pumping up that movie and being excited about it.
Me too. But when we come on and review it and we don't like it, we bring a certain level of critical acumen. We have seen it. We contemplated it for at least a day before we went on and our show and didn't like it. So I would hope that our only value for viewers is they know that we speak truth. As much as people want to call us paid shills, I mean, we are not. And so I think it might be surprising when someone says, oh, John and Rob didn't like Jonathan didn't like Jurassic Park Refund or Jurassic World Refund. It means something, whether you want to choose. But I just hate this idea that somebody is going to go on and review bomb a show before it's even been seen by people. I find it really distasteful. And it's just yet another indicator of how our modern age, we really need to grow up because we're all infants. And I include myself in that too.
It all, like you mentioned, the studios taking that feedback, but also viewers now, they don't trust those reviews either because it's like, oh, it's just someone with an agenda review bombing it or whatever. Like now they've made themselves so that all the toxic energy they put in, it's really useless now because no one's even paying attention to them.
Yeah, no, and I think that everybody, look, Ryan Coogler's a producer on this show. I think that, he made 2 very respectable Black Panther movies, and one of those Black Panther movies he got made, and it's pretty good in the worst circumstances possible.
Yeah. And
he was able to make something out. He has one of the #1 films in years, original studio movies that made the most money. He created the Creed franchise. He's somebody that deserves our respect. Give the guy a break. Give him the respect that he's earned from us. we should be a fan of his and at least go in hoping it's good.
Yeah, I mean, when we say respect, we're not saying no matter what, say whatever he makes is good. No, but respect him enough to at least watch the damn content first.
Yeah, and give it a fair shake.
And then come out and say, and then fair enough, you hated it. Then you come out and you say you hated it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
It's all good. So, but let me then ask you this, with the movies side on Rotten Tomatoes, again, because they're Fandango, because they have the partnerships with AMC online ticketing and Regal online ticketing,
right,
they can easily quickly verify if somebody had actually gone to see the film. Do we have any kind of a system we can put in place for television shows? I haven't been able to think of one really.
No, I think that's really, unless you have some kind of a, like if you had an old TiVo or something like that, where they could show if you watch. I don't think there's any way to verify, because what if you go to your friend's house and watch a show? Even if you had verification, you can't. Well, I went to my friend's house. Well, you haven't been verified. I don't think there's any way around it. I mean, it was interesting because what Rotten Tomatoes did learn, they saw, who went beforehand.
Yep.
Review. So now they know that your opinion has been invalidated.
Yeah, you're a fake reviewer.
You're a fake reviewer,
Yeah.
and they might start just locking people out entirely.
Well, that's
if you've done it, and they're within their rights to do so.
I feel like this may have been intentional. It's a dragnet. Get all the people on either side that are they haven't seen it. They dumped it in there, dragnet, block those people.
Yeah.
Start fresh.
Their version of ICE.
Yeah, again, which is why I think
We're deporting their opinion.
I don't think anybody should ever pay any attention to user reviews. I mean, again, Rotten Tomato ones for movies, yes, because they're verified. Cinema scores, yes, because they're actually sitting their asses in front of the theaters and talking to people as they come out. But like IMDb scores, Rotten Tomato television scores, stuff like that, none of it can be trusted. And people should just ignore it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? And seriously, do you have any ideas? And I mean this honestly, because I haven't been able to think of one, about how Rotten Tomatoes can verify users registering votes like they can with movies. I haven't been able to think of a way, but maybe you can. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on and talk about this, shall we? Jeez. What is it now? What is Wanted? 17 years old? 18 years old?
It's got a great Danny Elfman theme song.
Came out in 2008, I think.
Yeah, 2008.
You know what?
The Little Things.
James McAvoy, who wasn't as famous at the time. You had who is the main girl in it again? Angelina Jolie. You had
this is the one where they bend bullets, right?
Yep, you bend the bullets, curve the bullets, all that kind of stuff. With the Loom of Fate, which I don't care how many says, I like the Loom of Fate. And by the way, also before anybody knew what his name was, Chris Pratt is in that movie too. Before anybody knew,
based on a comic book, even though they took very little from that comic book, you could readapt the whole thing. It'd be like a brand new movie.
I'll tell you what, I am unapologetically a big fan of that movie.
I own it.
I look that shot too, which many movies have tried to copy since, when the car is now spinning out, Angelina Jolie leaning out of the car, all the bullet stuff. It's just great. Anyway, a lot of people, it's set up at the end where you can easily do a sequel, but none has come. And it's been so long, you'd be kind of foolish to think that maybe one ever would come at this point.
And it was directed by that Russian director. But he came off like Night Watch and Day Watch. So visually, it's got some really striking stuff.
It does. It is a fun movie, man. Bacharach Tiki Tack he did a great job with the movie, and I enjoy it. I think it's good.
Beckmonotov, yeah.
But guess what? Maybe there might be a Wanted 2, at least according to the writer. This comes to us from Coming Soon. This ain't Wanted 2 James McAvoy sequel gets an exciting update from the writer. Says this: a new update reveals hopes for Wanted 2, a sequel to the 2008 action thriller starring James McAvoy. Co-writer Derek Haas recently confirmed that there is a completed script that exists and expressed interest in reuniting with the original team. Universal has yet to greenlight the project, but discussions around the film continue 17 years after its release. It goes on to say, where the writer said, yeah, James McAvoy said he wants to do it too. McAvoy says he wants to do it. He wants to do it. They've got a script. Again, every second that passes lessens the chances of it becoming a reality. It's been 17 years. But sign me up for a Wanted 2. I mean, obviously you can't bring Angelina Jolie back. Why
not?
I guess you could come up with a way, but I mean, I was a big fan of this movie. Get back to it, reintroduce the Loom of Fate. This time
you could just weave her into the plot.
Maybe modernize it, the 3D printer of fate. That's what it is. What's that Epson? It's the 3D printer of fate. It tells us.
But it run out of ink.
It does run out of ink. Oh, damn it. No, you can't use a refill. So
it's just her legs running around.
I listen, for the record, I don't think this is going to happen. All right. I don't think this is going to happen, but I'd be down for it. And I'm kind of excited to hear that they're still at least talking about it. Anyway, Rob, what did you think about the original Wanted? What do you think about the idea of a Wanted 2? And ultimately, do you think this thing could actually happen?
Well, would you be surprised to know I own the movie in 4K?
I'm not at all.
And not only that, but I love the soundtrack. Danny Elfman did the score, and the Little Things, that song.
Yep.
It's a great theme song. And look, is the movie perfect?
Yes.
Oh.
Certainly not.
Yes. Thank you for asking. Yes.
But I enjoy this movie quite a bit. I think this absolutely deserves a sequel. I would absolutely go see it. And, look, now that we're making sequels to 35-year-old movies, I think that Wanted deserves a sequel. I'm sure Disney's going to announce the Black Hole 2 any minute. Why not? I like this film. And all the actors have raised in stature. The effects have gotten better. I think this could be a very cool movie.
Yeah, and I think James McAvoy makes a badass action guy.
Yeah.
And so you can completely go back to that. I'm all for it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? One of the writers for Wanted said, hey, we've got a completed script for it, and we think it's really good, and we want to do it. James McAvoy wants to do it. There's still some talk about it. Do you think it could actually happen? Number one, would you be interested in seeing it? I know I am. But number two, do you think there could actually be a chance? Unfortunately, I don't think there is, but hope springs eternal. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. We talked a little bit ago about the ratings for Ironheart and stuff like that too, but certainly last night, Ironheart dropped the first half of the season. The first 3 episodes. Of course, there's only 6 episodes, and they're going to air the final 3 episodes next week. Now, just to set the context and be totally open about it, I did not like the way they introduced Riri Williams in Black Panther 2. I didn't like the way they used her. I thought this character had a lot more potential, and they wasted a lot of it. I have not thought the trailers to this thing looked any good. I mean, obviously, I'm a Marvel fan. I want to like it, but just being honest, I haven't thought they've looked very good at all. The casting is good. I mean, especially when they said they got Anthony Ramos in there. I'm actually a big Anthony Ramos fan. Loved him in Hamilton. Loved him in The Heights. Really loved him in The Heights. If you haven't seen him in The Heights, make sure you watch In the Heights. It's incredible. He's really, really great in it. But other than that, I had, if I'm being honest, very, very little hope. And if I was being really honest, I'd also say I was kind of expecting to hate it. Hoping it would be good, but expecting to hate it. So 6 o'clock runs around, load up Disney Plus, start playing it, set all my expectations and all the baggage aside, sit down, can of Zevia, ready to go. And I got to say, I did a quick reaction to it last night, Rob, but I got to say, I didn't hate it. Do I think it's one of the stronger MCU shows on Disney Plus? I don't. Does it have its problems? Oh, yes. And we'll talk about those in a bit. But I also thought it had enough going for it where by the time the 3rd episode ends, and I'm a sucker for heist stuff. I'm a sucker for heist stuff.
Me too.
Like the third episode is basically a big giant heist episode, which I dig. And some really interesting things happen in it. By the time the 3rd episode ended and the credits started to roll, I sat back on the sofa and went, I'll watch the next 3. And listen, I remember thinking to myself before starting to watch this, I thought, I'm expecting that I'm going to tap out after these 3, but I'm at least going to watch the first 3. And by the time the 3rd episode ended, I thought, there's enough here to at least keep watching. You know what I mean? Here's some of the things that we're not going to go into spoilery detail, but I'm going to give some of the things that I think absolutely don't work. The Natalie AI.
Oh yeah, dude.
It just doesn't work. I think the girl playing Natalie was from This Is Us, and she was really good in that. If she is the actress I'm thinking of, I really liked her in This Is Us. And she actually gives a very good performance in these 3 episodes. But I'm sorry, I understand it's the MCU. I understand this is a world where gods from Asgard exist and giant green rage monsters exist. I understand all that. But even within the MCU, they set up certain rules of how their world works and logic, and like how this thing just kind of sprang to being in a weird science kind of way. They did not do the work to make me as an audience member feel like they achieved that this completely sentient, self-aware with memories and everything, and the PTSD of the living person they were modeled off. I don't know. It was a bridge where I didn't think it worked. I just didn't think it worked, despite the fact that I thought the performance was really good. There's a heist crew. You got Anthony Ramos and his cousin, and I like those two and their dynamic. Everybody else in the heist crew, losers. Total waste of time. You have these interesting templates of characters.
Yeah.
Including the main hacker, Slug from Madripoor. You got to, okay, there's your template. Okay, now make this character interesting. And they don't. The Fight Club girls, okay, interesting setup for add some dimension to this crew. But there's like they're basically grunting cavemen. It's like, okay, there's nothing interesting here. The pyrotechnic explosives girl, completely irritating. And so that whole thing was a complete waste. Alden Ehrenreich gets introduced. And despite the fact that Alden Ehrenreich's character, especially in the beginning, comes across a little one-dimensional, they do something with him. There's a little twist involving Alden Ehrenreich in the 3rd episode that I went, you know what? That kind of works. I won't say what the twist was, but I mean, I went like, and when I think about it and I go back over the last couple episodes, this actually tracks. This makes sense. So I kind of like that. The girl playing Riri Williams, terrific job in her performance. I'm still not a huge fan of how they're writing Riri. I'm kind of finding Riri a little bit unlikable.
Yeah.
But from a character depth point of view, that might not be that bad of a thing that she's a little unlikable, maybe. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a pass on that. I really like Riri's mom. I like the dynamic between her and her mom. There's a little bit of a quasi love interest thing in you know, if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about in it, that I think is interesting and sweet. You know, her stepdad, which by the way is an actor from a show I watch called Chicago PD, and I've never seen that guy in anything else other than Chicago PD. So it's actually kind of neat seeing him pop up in this. So that was good too. So again, can I get on the show and say, I think Ironheart's great? No. But is it better than I thought it would be? Is it better than I thought it looked? It is. Maybe that's not overwhelming endorsement, and maybe that's not, you know, excitement producing or whatever, but it's better than I thought it would be. Enough so that I'm not tapping out. I'm going to keep watching it. Is it great? No. Is it Secret Invasion? Also no. So I give credit where it's due. And I thought the 3rd episode was the best of the 3. So it also had that advantage that it kind of ramped up a bit. And so
that's good.
Again, do I think this is great? I do not. But is there enough there to keep me watching into the last half to see how well they stick the ending? Yeah. So better than I thought it would be. Anyway, Rob, you did not watch all of it.
No,
you did see a bit of it. You watched the first episode.
I watched
last
the first
night.
Yeah.
What's your initial kind of take on it?
You know, I'm excited to hear what you say about. I just wanted to sort of delve into it. I was going to watch like 5 minutes of it, but I watched the whole first episode. And like you, I mean, I didn't dislike it. I thought it was an intriguing, like, I'm like, okay, I'll watch this, you know, but I just, look, to be honest, I've fallen down this anime rabbit hole, and I've been watching these animated shows. This animated show, it's an anime called Pluto that's on Netflix. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. and that's what I was. So I dipped into this, but I liked the show. I mean, I didn't, like you said, I didn't dislike it. I just don't know where it's going. Everyone says it's got a great climax, and I'm like, okay, to see a great climax, I will watch 6 episodes of a show. But like you said, I mean, Riri is a little unlikable, but I like her. Like I find her to be a compelling presence, she's a compelling presence, and I really like her. I'm like, okay, I will go on this journey with her to see where it's going to go. And you told me something about Mr. Ironheart that's interesting, that has an interesting tie all the way back to the beginning of the MCU, and I'm like, that's cool. Okay, I'm in. Count me in. So, the thing is, it's not horrible. It's not a terrible show. And I think we've come to expect that Marvel, like, I would expect nothing less. The fact that the show isn't terrible, that we shouldn't be thinking that. Marvel's still first class in terms of its production value, in terms of what you're getting.
I'm glad you said the production. The production value of the show is actually, especially for a Disney Plus show.
Yes.
Passing marks on that.
Oh,
It looks really good.
It looks great. And I'm like, you know what? What more do I want from genre entertainment? I mean, I used to get excited about Manimal and Automan coming on TV when I was a kid, and I would watch, and they were horrible. So to get genre programming like this, it's all relative. But I'm gonna watch all 6 episodes.
I'm gonna put this roughly on the same level as I put Hawkeye, which is a show that despite the fact that I love the Hawkeye character, I ended up kind of disappointed with Hawkeye.
Yes.
But there was always enough there that I watched it all the way through to the end. And if the finale had been better, I might have actually ended up liking Hawkeye. But I've kind of got this show right now on the same level for me as Hawkeye, which I found compelling enough to keep me watching, but I still ended up a little bit disappointed. And from what I hear, this show saves its best for last. Like everybody I've talked to who has seen the whole series now they all just say the same thing. Show's okay. The finale's awesome. Okay. Well,
and I really want to see how they're going to incorporate the magic and technology together, and how's that going to progress? And what does it mean for the wider MCU going forward? Because obviously Doctor Doom is a character that this could inform in terms of how they're going to deal with it. So I'm curious.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What did you think about the first 3 episodes of Ironheart? I gotta say, I am, to a degree, kind of pleasantly surprised. It is better than I thought it would be. I still don't think it's great. Again, I put it somewhere around Hawkeye level, but it's got potential, and it's at least good enough that I'm going to keep watching the next 3 episodes. How did you feel? Did you like it less? Did you like it more? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, every once in a while, we like to play a little game around here where we invite you guys to send in scenarios, sometimes for what's more likely, or sometimes, like today, for true or false. I got on our community tab a little bit earlier today on the channel, and I asked our viewers, hey, do you got a true or false scenario for us? If so, send them on in, and we'll pick out a couple of them to use. Bunch of you guys sent some in. Jonathan's got a bunch of them rounded up there. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
All right. From Treemy, Rob, true or false? Brad Pitt will join Tom Cruise in the next Mission Impossible movie.
I'm going to say false on that because Brad Pitt has said in the press tour for F1, he's like, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to hang off a plane. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Now, to me, that would be the initial saying no. But, watching Tom Cruise show up on the red carpet and embracing for F1 and embracing Brad Pitt, and they've been talking about each other, I'm still going to say false. But you never know.
I want to say true.
Yeah.
Because these two go way back. They go back even before Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
They have been close friends for a long time, always supportive. And listen, even though Brad Pitt, and that was a funny interview, he says, I ain't doing none of that shit that Tom Cruise does. Yeah. Guess what? Nobody else in the Mission Impossible movies do either. Those are reserved for Tom Cruise. So he could still be in there, and he could still do it. The reason I'm going to say false, and the only reason I'm going to say false, again, because as Rob pointed out, famously, Tom Cruise just showed up on the red carpet of F1 to support Brad Pitt, and it's great to see that kind of stuff. But I'm still going to say false for one reason only. I don't believe there's going to be another Mission Impossible movie.
I don't either.
I really don't. Not at the price tag that these movies demand, and they're just not making the money. I mean, listen, this new Mission Impossible movie crossed $500 million. There are directors that would kill to have a movie that made over $500 million. But when you look at the expense of these films, that's not, and Tom Cruise says he's got like 11 projects lined up, and the dude's in his 60s. So I'm going to say false, simply because I don't think there's going to be another Mission Impossible.
I agree, but I would like to see Brad Pitt show up in the Les Grossman movie, playing himself.
That's gold. That's gold. I would almost kind of taking the Matthew McConaughey kind of spot, maybe a little
100%.
bit, but actually playing himself.
You know,
you do a Les Grossman movie. It could be like The Studio.
Yeah.
But with Les Grossman.
Yeah.
Do it. That's gold right there.
I know.
Anyway.
The cameos alone in a movie like that.
And who's going to say no to Tom Cruise to come and do a cameo? Other than, what's her name from Batman Begins?
Katie Holmes.
Yeah,
Katie Holmes. Maybe Katie Holmes says
She'll
no.
say
I don't know.
Although, there's comedy gold in there too.
Mm-hmm. Have Katie Holmes and we come to this place.
And
girl.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman walk into the room and say, anyway, we got to move on. All right, what's next?
All right. Shriji Patel says,
John.
Yeah, John, true or false, Avatar Fire and Ash trailer will release before Fantastic Four premieres.
That, okay, so.
That would precede Comic-Con.
No, it would come after Comic-Con.
No, because it opens Comic-Con weekend. So
that's right.
So
that's
the trailer would
right.
have to be out.
You know what? It used to be, not many years ago, it used to be that some movies would have their trailers come out like 10, 11 months before the movie comes out.
Yeah,
I've always said that was stupid,
Yeah.
and Hollywood seems to finally be listening as they've shortened the what I call the trailer windows a lot. But August, September, October, November, December, for a movie the size of Avatar 3, 5 months out, coinciding with other major big Disney presentation and Comic-Con, I'm going to say true. I'm going to say, yeah. If this was another movie, I'd say, 5 months still might be a little, but no, for an Avatar Fire and Ash, yeah, I'm going to go with true on this one, Rob. What about you?
Me too. And, they showed us quite a bit. They even gave us the 3D glasses. We got to see the high frame rate Avatar.
Yes, that we did.
The Mordor Na'vi, as I like to call them. That's CinemaCon. I thought it looked dope. Show me those Iowa Denayan Na'vi living by the crack of Mount Doom. I can't wait. I'm an Avatar purist fan. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it'll probably do it before, like a day or two before Fantastic Four debuts in theaters. Because that's the way they never, less than 1/10% of the time do they actually debut a trailer with a movie in a movie theater. It always drops online first. But
plus why not get that hype train going?
It's 5 months out.
It's got cool stuff in it, man.
Yeah. I think it's good. Yeah. So I'm going to go with true. All right. What's next?
All right, Rob, back to you. The Trisket says, true or false, Sam Raimi will direct a Spider-Man movie in any capacity, any universe.
I am going to say false on that one. I don't think he would necessarily want to. I like some of the things he did in Multiverse of Madness, but I don't think Sam Raimi wants to go back and direct another Spider-Man movie, especially because he was an auteur when he did the first films. He had a lot of say in where those movies went. And the reason that he ended up not doing Spider-Man 4 is because they kind of took that away from him. And I don't think he wants to put up with that anymore. I don't think so.
I'm going to say true.
Okay.
I think it will happen. You know what? I think I've heard him say he's more open to it than maybe we previously thought, that he might be more open to it. Now, the reason I'm able to say true is because they added that little thing at the end on the question of any universe. So whether that, I could totally remember Lord and Miller don't direct the Spider-Verse films themselves.
Right.
So whether it's him joining forces with Lord and Miller to do one of the a Spider-Verse movie or a Spider-Verse-like kind of movie, or listen, Kevin Feige really loved working with Sam Raimi. He talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
Like he said, it was really the first time, Kevin Feige said, because they started making so much stuff. He said it was the first time he was literally able just to hand a project to a director and walk away.
Right.
Because it was Sam Raimi. And listen, even though Doctor Strange 2 didn't end up being one of the top tier best MCU movies, It had a lot going for it. And it was a really challenging movie to make when you look at everything they put in there, and it had some good stuff in there. So I think Feige loves working with them. You know, now that John Watts has moved off of the Spider-Man films, yeah, in the next 5-10 years, I could see Raimi taking another kick at that can. So I'm going to go with true. You're probably right, but I'm going to go with true regardless. All right. What's next?
John Big Fish wants to know true or false. The next 28 years later movie releasing next year, that's a Bone Temple, will bomb at the box office.
Sadly true. And by bomb at the box office, I don't necessarily think like it's going to make $10 million. No, it's going to do okay, but while extremely respectable, I think 28 years later might be Danny Boyle's biggest opening ever of his career. Somebody can fact check me on that, but I think that's what it is. And especially in relation to the IP, but I know it wasn't as big as they were kind of hoping. And the fan response to the film has not been what they were hoping.
Decidedly mixed.
Yeah. Decidedly mixed is the response.
I loved it though.
So, and I'm mixed on it. I mean, overall I liked it, but I'm not finding myself, especially with the way the film ended, as I'm not finding myself going, January can't get here fast enough for me to see Bone Temple. You know what I mean? And so I think Bone Temple makes less than what this movie is going to make, because it's not going to gain any new fans and it might actually have lost some. So I'm going to say true. I think maybe it bombs. I hope it's great and I hope it's successful, but I think maybe it does. What do you think?
I mean, 28 years later did open to 60 million worldwide. And for a horror movie, that's not bad. And for a horror movie that's been gone for 20 years, pretty much, not bad at all. I mean, it's no Final Destination Bloodlines, but what is? So, look, I think there's a possibility that as people watch 28 years later, it really depends on how much it costs. But I'm not going to say it's going to bomb. I'm going to say it does okay.
All right. Fair enough.
But it's not going to be a bomb.
All right. What's next?
We got...
It's no Pluto Nat.
We got Zach Cole. Rob, true or false, Avengers Doomsday joins the $2 billion club.
You know, I'm inclined to say yes, but also it could be the first Avengers movie that underperforms, because I think it's based on a gimmick.
But what number represents underperforms?
Well, for the Avengers movies,
because some people say if it doesn't make $2 billion,
only makes $1 billion, it'll be disappointing. Because of Age of Ultron made like 1.4 or something.
Yeah, no, I don't. Not a single Avengers film is made under $1 billion.
Yeah, so if it made if it made $995 million, it would be a disappointment, especially because the amount of money they're spending on it.
Right.
So, I think they're hard pressed to get.
Oh God, that's why I bring it up. Somebody in our live chat, all due respect, but somebody in our live chat, Immortal Ipsy, says 1.5 billion would be underperforming. How stupid is that? That is a stupid thing to say. You're not stupid. Smartest people in the world say stupid things. You may be one of the smartest people in the world, but you said a really stupid thing. $1.5 billion would not be underperforming. In what world is a $1.5 billion film, one of the highest grossing films in the history of mankind, is that underperforming? That is one of the stupidest things I've heard. Anyway, under $1 billion when every other Avengers film was made over $1 billion, that would be something.
Yes. But I think the potential, look, am I intrigued by this movie? Yes. What worries me, though, is that I think all 4 Avengers movies have been wildly entertaining. I mean, the first Avengers movie came out in 2012. I sat in the theater, even though I knew it was coming, I couldn't believe what I was watching, just that it existed at all. And then coming off of Endgame, look, they're spending a ton of money. And they have to, I would dare say they have to make $2 billion to break even, because how much money they're spending. So, but I think, really disappointing would be less than $1 billion.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it comes in as the lowest grossing Avengers film, that has to be looked at as underperforming a bit.
I mean, they're asking a lot of an audience. They're asking a lot. I like the fact that it's a wild swing to make Tony Stark Dr. Doom.
I think it looks great. I think I like everything that they've done so far. But listen, when you're talking about $2 billion, That is an exclusive. I mean, the $1 billion club is an exclusive club because there's around in all of film history, in the hundreds of thousands of films that have been made, there's like 50 something have joined the $1 billion club. All right. That's how exclusive it is. There have only been right now 6 members, just 6 members of the $2 billion club. They are Avatar, the highest grossing film in history, Avengers Endgame, another Avatar film, then Titanic. Yes, folks, that's 3 of the top 4 are all from one guy, Canadian James Cameron.
Former truck driver.
Yeah, that was the important part. But 3 of the top 4 are all from one guy. Anyway, number 1 at Avatar at 2.9, almost created the $3 billion club. Avengers Endgame at 2.79, Avatar: The Way of Water 2.3, Titanic 2.2, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens at 2 billion, and Avengers Infinity War also just cracked the 2 billion, and then Spider-Man No Way Home just a little bit outside of that. Almost made it. $79 million away from joining the $2 billion. But this is a really exclusive club, guys. And I believe the answer to this is false. Because Marvel is just in, public perception wise, fair or not fair, is just in a different place right now than when Infinity War and Endgame came out. When Infinity War and Endgame came out, it was at a time when the fever pitch of hype and excitement around the MCU had never been higher, right? That is not the case today. It's just not. And so that alone, when you're talking about the single most exclusive club in film history, the $2 billion club, I think it's too much to ask. Now, if this movie's great, let's have that conversation about Secret Wars. That's when the Avengers film's getting back in the $2 billion club. That's when that conversation gets more interesting. But I just think because of the place the MCU's in right now, I don't think 2 billion, over $1 billion, 100%. 100% it becomes the newest member of the $1 billion club. But 2 billion, again, only 6 films in history have done it. And with the Avengers films, that was when Marvel was in a much different place. So I'm going to say, for now, false. Raging Cajun in the live chat makes a good point. Let's see the first trailer. Yeah, we may have a totally different discussion after we see the first trailer, right? But, we'll see. And okay, guys, that wraps up today's little participation in a game of true or false. Big thank you to all you guys who sent in the scenarios. If you're wondering where we asked them in the community tab on the YouTube, in the posts tab on our YouTube channel. So keep your guys' eyes open in there, because usually, on days that we're going to do it, a few hours before the show, I'll drop in there, ask the question. And then once we've gathered all the questions we're going to use, we take it down. But keep your guys' eyes open, and thank you again to everybody who participated. All right, guys. With that on down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, Pixar is doing pretty good with its sequels, man. They put out Inside Out 2, only became the highest grossing film of the year, highest grossing animated film of all time. Did pretty damn well. Then they put out an original. They're not doing so good with their originals. Elio is struggling mightily, having the lowest opening in the history of Pixar. Lowest opening in the history of Pixar. Granted, I didn't think the film looked all that good, and it's an okay movie. It's all right. I didn't mind it. But you would forgive Bob Iger and Pixar for also keeping an eye on their sequels and going back, because they do so well and they make so much money, which is why it's not completely surprising when I opened up my news feed and I saw this. Pixar sequel era claims another classic, Ratatouille 2, in the works. Now, this report is coming from our friend who's been on the show a number of times, Jeff Snyder, who is claiming that, and it's fairly reliable, that they're circling and they're starting to have their conversations about Ratatouille 2. Of course, we've got Zootopia 2 coming from Disney. We've got Incredibles 3 coming, which I think that's an automatic $1 billion film as well. And, they're circling other sequels because, look, the audience has voted with its dollars. We want sequels. You can cry, why are you making more originals? Because you don't go see them. It's really just that simple. You don't go see them. So they put out Inside Out 2, and it becomes the highest grossing film of the year. Zootopia 2 is going to be a monster. I don't know how big, but it's going to be big.
Yeah.
And so we have just continued to tell the studios, we want sequels. We want sequels. That's what we're telling them all the time with our dollars. And listen, if you don't think a Ratatouille 2 is going to make a whole ton of money, I don't know what to tell you. Because I guarantee you.
But they need to put a 2 with a second T.
Ratatouille.
Yeah, you got to do that.
I right now will guarantee you this movie, I don't know how much, but the number, whatever the number is, it's going to be followed by the words, that's a lot. It's going to make a lot.
Ratatouille's great.
It is one of their best films. It's got heart, and it's got great characters, and it's so endearing, and it's hilarious, and the story is great, and it's a wonderful film. Again, I don't think it's the best Pixar film, but it's up there amongst the best they've ever done. And there's stories you can tell. And listen, the food craze today is bigger now than it was when this movie came out.
Totally.
This thing, look, it's a no-brainer that they should be looking at doing this. They should also continue to make originals, because that's how you get new franchises, is by making originals. But, I mean, you're also going to have to pepper in these proven successes with these sequels, and this is one that I would love to see. Rob, you're hearing about this. What do you think about the concept of doing a Ratatouille 2? And do you think it just ultimately makes sense for them to do it?
100%. I mean, because we just said it's a great movie, and the world is rich. I think, like you said, we've all become more foodies than we were when this movie came out. And the biggest thing about it is the more they go back into their back catalog of Pixar movies, that's the closer I get to a Bug's Life sequel. So I'm looking forward to that.
Where do you think they can go with something like this?
Ratatouille?
Yeah.
International cuisine.
Ooh, well, I mean, it's already in Paris.
But that's what I mean. It's you're a global, like, Ratatouille, maybe he has to go, or somebody has to go to a different culinary land. Like, I would love to see, Anthony Bourdain used to talk about how one of the great cities in the world that all the chefs talk about is Tokyo. Like maybe Ratatouille goes on an international tour, or something, and multi-city adventure, with food.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? There's a report going around that Pixar, Disney are looking at doing Ratatouille 2, which, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. I think especially after you see the success of Inside Out 2, and I think Ratatouille is one of their best films they've ever done. You do this, it's going to make a lot of money. Any guys, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this. Fantastic Four, the final trailer. I'm sure it's not the final TV spot, but the final trailer for Fantastic Four dropped online this morning, and I won't bury the lead. I thought it was the best trailer they've done so far. I really enjoyed it. I found myself grinning more than I have in the other ones. The running joke, the whole "it's clobbering time" running joke through, and it culminated with Johnny going, "Say it!" I don't want to say it. Say it! I had a huge grin on my face. Yeah. I was loving what I was watching. You guys know, if you watch the show regularly, I have not been overly impressed with the Fantastic Four trailers. I think they've been okay. I think they've been decent. Certainly hasn't taken away any enthusiasm I have for the movies, but you guys know I've been saying they haven't exactly elevated it for me. This was the first one for me that kind of elevates it. I find myself that this trailer has been the first trailer to increase my excitement for the movie. Now, I still don't think it's as good as the Superman trailers or anything like that, but I think this was the best one. And, Rob and I were talking about this a bit before the show started, but we were saying the other day that one of the things that the trailers have not yet done is, other than Galactus is showing up, the trailers haven't really told us what the movie's about. Like, I haven't really gotten a sense of what the movie's about. And that's okay to not do that for the first trailer, but after you've had a bunch of TV spots and a second trailer, and we still don't really know what the movie's about. I was telling this to Jonathan when I came in. I was telling Rob this too. This trailer introduced one quick concept that completely changed my entire perception of the movie. And now I can, in my mind's eye, I can now see the whole structure of the movie. Not that I can see every little thing that's going to happen in the movie, but now, unlike yesterday where I didn't really know what this movie was or where it was going, the one detail they put in this trailer completely changed my perception of this movie. And now I can see the whole structure of the movie. And that one little detail was this. And it's not the rock beard. Some people in live chat, it's the rock beard, isn't it? Nope, not the rock beard. Although I love the rock beard.
Me too.
I think I and a lot of other people, when we're watching the other Fantastic Four trailers, we get the sense that so this Fantastic Four world, oh no, the Silver Surfer comes up, your planet has been marked for death, oh no.
And he is.
And then here he is. And tomorrow, Galactus is walking through the streets of New York. Okay, great. We know Galactus, but what's this movie about? What this trailer introduced that I do not think I picked up on, and I think a lot of people didn't pick up on, in the previous ads, was the fact that there's about a year between when Silver Surfer shows up and when Galactus actually arrives. That one detail completely changed my scope of what the movie was and my understanding of the structure of the movie, because now I can see the structure of the film and what this movie is about. The first act of the film, at least a good majority, I think, of the first act of the film is going to be establishing the Fantastic Four. Maybe a little quick, montage about how they became the Fantastic Four. They won't elaborate on it too much or spend too much time on it. Then it's going to be probably one good big set piece in the first act, showing them being heroic and why they're heroes to the world, the dynamics of the characters, their relationships. And then near the end of the first act, Surfer shows up. I herald his beginning. I herald your end. Galactus is coming, right? And so that now changes everything and our perception that leads into Act 2, which is going to be that year-long period, which, by the way, we just found out, Sue just found out she's pregnant. By the time Galactus shows up, she's already got the baby.
Right.
So a minimum 9 months, but probably a little bit longer than that because the baby didn't look like it was 5 days old. So the second act is going to be about, we're going to figure this out. It's going to be the strain on them, their place in this world as the heroes that everybody looks to, but they don't know if they have the answers, and how they're trying to hone their own skills and come up with solutions and, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be Act 2. And then we're going to lead into Act 3. And that's when hell breaks loose. That's when Galactus shows up. Obviously, they're going to get a set piece of a battle with the Silver Surfer. We're going to get a big set piece of whatever they're going to do to try to handle Galactus, blah, blah. And all of that, Rob, all of that came into clear view for me by them introducing that one detail, that there's actually like a year that takes place in between Surfer showing up and Galactus showing up. And so my one big concern about these trailers aren't telling me what this movie's about has now been addressed, because now I feel like I know what the movie's about, and it excites me. Anyway, you had a chance to see the trailer. What were your reactions to, and what are your thoughts on it now that you've had a chance to sit with it for a little while?
Well, I thought it was more, it was fun. I like you said, there was a little bit more. I mean, they seem to be drawing from the same material, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun and really entertaining. And like we were talking about this earlier, but I too was thinking about the fact that, I think the movie's going to open with that TV show.
I think that's
I
think you're right.
And they're going to give you the whole, as we know the fan, and you're going to get the whole flashback.
It's going to be a retrospect.
It'll be a retrospective, and it'll set up the whole world. But what I think is going to be interesting is the Silver Surfer. If let's just take what you said and say that's what's going to happen. The Silver Surfer shows up. Then they have to deal with the fact that they don't know what Galactus is.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Which is why we got the one shot of them actually out in space now, and they're trying to figure out what Galactus
what is Galactus? They're like, you've got the Silver Surfer that shows up. Obviously, that you can't deny that this happened. And, there's a movie that I used to love when I was a kid called When Worlds Collide. And I could watch that and the original War of the Worlds on an endless loop. But humanity knew that Earth was going to be destroyed, and they had to build a space ark to save some people. But in the movie, they had there's this scout. You're now 49 days until Bellis arrives, and they had this one thing that was going to fly by, Zyra, and then they had Bellis. And that countdown made the movie intense, and you could have all the, what are we going to do? You know, like, how are we going to fix this out? And you got to see all the machinations and the politics, and there was disasters that were going to happen beforehand. So I could see that is a compelling narrative, like what you described. And that could be really interesting, because then you can delve into the ways that heroes, what is a hero's responsibility to a society? How are they going to react knowing their world could end? We've never really seen that, because the threats show up and all of a sudden, well, there's Chitauri in the middle of New York. Better go fight him. You know, nobody had any chance to decide or talk or deal with, well, what if you can't save us? And the weight of the world on Reed Richards' shoulder. It just happened. Yeah, and so I think this movie, from an intellectual standpoint, has given me something more to chew on. At least I can anticipate it more. You know, because I think it's going to be an interesting look into what does it mean to be a hero.
And to expand on that, because I think you're absolutely right, I think it'll also be interesting to look at this movie through the perception of the citizens of this world. Because clearly this movie starts with, we all celebrated Fantastic Four, yay! And they're carrying around the big grim toys and like, oh, look, all that kind of stuff. But I think then we're going to get into Act 2, where it's going to be the first time that the people of this world are going to doubt the Fantastic Four. Maybe blame the Fantastic Four, and that whole dynamic might change. And I think there's interesting stuff there that Matt Shakman can really dig into and deal with and work with that could be pretty fun.
And I love the idea that no one knows what Galactus is, and when he shows up, it's going to be a cosmic threat like nothing they've ever anticipated.
Yeah, especially
if Galactus has his Jack Kirby-esque massive spaceship that they can see coming. It's like the
we saw a clip of that in this latest trailer.
Yeah. Like the Santi in the Netflix version of the Three Body Problem. Well, we're showing up in 400 years, but until we show up, we're going to destroy your science. Take that.
Because otherwise, in 400 years, you're going to be able to kick our asses.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought all of that's really interesting. And knowing that's your fate, generationally, that's your fate. What does that do to a planetary population?
And
it's going to be fun.
By the way, I need to throw this in there too. You kind of touched on it and alluded on it a bit with some of the extra shots that we've gotten, because there is some recycled footage in this one that we've seen from the other trailers, you know, responding to a lot of people saying, don't show us too much. Okay. Well, one of the things that we saw in some of the new footage, some of the extra footage in this trailer really doubles down on just how beautiful, you know, I've had some issues with the other trailers. They haven't blown me away, but one of the things that I've loved, and this trailer really delivers it, the design of this world.
Yeah.
You know, even as the Fantastic Car is kind of flying through the cityscape, I paused it and I just looked at that like a piece of art. And like, the production design, that's what I'm going to call it. The production design of this movie looks amazingly gorgeous.
It's when I was a kid, like I love going to Disneyland because of the world of tomorrow.
Yes.
This is that Disneyland 1950s, 60s promise of what the future is going to look like. You know, it's kind of that mid-century look. They've really done a great job with it. And I think you're right. I mean, there was some shots of the Fantastic Car in this trailer that were different. And I'm like, man, Hot Toys better make that.
Yeah.
I want a Fantastic Car for 6 scale, man.
You know, I'm going to say this too. If you had told me a couple months ago that it's Clobberin timeline is going to kind of become a running joke in the movie, I'd say, that's going to be cheesy. But seeing it in the trailer, say the thing that's just in the cartoon, man. Say it. No, I don't want to say it. Say it.
I love that, by the way. That's just in the car. That's just that's funny.
It's working for me, and I guarantee you this: even if this movie's bad, when Ben Grimm finally says it in the movie, that audience is gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
I think
totally
the
agree.
audience is gonna go crazy when and I think that scene where Johnny's carrying him, because after he says "say it" for the 3rd time, you see things start to like get his fist like this, and it feels like that's when he's about to say it. But I think whenever that happens, I think people are gonna lose their minds.
Yeah, especially if the running joke is dealt with throughout the movie in it looks like it's really well played.
Yeah. By the way, I still really like that one thing when it's like dinner, and it's like, what time is it? Dinner time.
Yeah.
Look,
it's funny. It's
if
good.
they can bring that tone and that sensibility to this movie where there's obviously a lot of foreboding and a lot of dread and a lot of like cataclysmic stuff. Like if they can nail that, they might be in pretty good shape, man. And
I think so too.
I'm getting more excited for this film. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the new Fantastic Four trailer? I got to say, this is the first one. It took them all the way to the last one that I can honestly say this made me actually a little bit more excited for the movie. The other ones have been fine. They've been fine. They haven't taken away my excitement, but this is the first time I feel like it's increased my excitement for the film. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that give us that one little detail about the time difference between when Surfer shows up and when Galactus shows up. And now I can suddenly see the structure of the film in my head. I don't know. How did you guys feel about the trailer? What were some things you liked? What were some things you didn't like? Has it increased your excitement for the movie like me, or has it been like the other trailers for me for you where it hasn't really moved the needle? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's now time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid adieu to writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett. Rob, great job as always, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. And we'll see you, of course, tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And all right, with that down, guys, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what do we got up first?
Old Danny Boy is here and says, it's funny because Rob's suggested plot and opening of Rebirth was the opening of the movie Twisters last year.
I don't...
Since you're still here.
What was James Bond action scene-esque for Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, okay. What you were suggesting for the movie. Oh, yeah, that does kind of make sense. 'Cause you're right. That's exactly how they opened Twisters.
Although
right?
I'm thinking more James Bond.
Right. But the premise, though, is you establish what these characters do or did.
Yes.
Before you get, that works. All right. What's next?
Brandon, I almost said Brandon Salad. Brandon Robinson says, John, your everything was... in the trailer rant on JW Rebirth is not exactly a ringing endorsement for me to watch trailers before films I know I'm going to see. Not that it improves the movie itself, but it certainly did my first experience going in blind.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. The trailer, when I talked about, like, say, the T-Rex chasing the raft, okay, you see a bit of that scene, but you do not see everything that happens in that scene.
Yeah.
Right?
We just meant there weren't many spoilers in the movie and the reveals. Like,
well, yeah, what I affectionately refer to as the whale dinosaur attacking the boat. Okay, in the trailer, you see that is a scene that happens, but the trailers certainly don't show you everything that happens in that scene. You know, here's the problem, though. It's great to say, go in blind, but that also makes you an ill-informed consumer, right? Now, it's one thing to talk about those 2 or 3% of movies that you already know you're going to want to go see. Like, I think a lot of people watching this show already know they're going to go see Avengers Doomsday. You may think it's going to be awesome. You may think it's going to be okay, but most people watching this show are probably already at least planning on watching it. But for the vast majority of movies, I always try to encourage my fellow film fans, don't forget, you are a consumer. And it's always best to be an informed consumer. Because when you go to a movie, there are 2 resources you are giving away. And one of them is non-renewable. Resource number 1, you're giving away your money. You're investing some of your money in an experience. You want to go into a movie as you want to be an informed consumer before you start investing your money in something. Am I going to get the kind of experience that I want to get for my $18 or whatever? The second commodity you're trading in is non-renewable, which is time. You don't get time back. From the moment you're born, you got a ticking clock, man, and you only got a certain amount of time. So you want to make sure you're investing your time on things that you're going to enjoy, right? So that's why I tell people, don't just watch trailers. Listen to critics as well, and not just 1 or 2 critics. Like, look at what everybody's saying, and then evaluate that. Even if somebody's saying they didn't like it, maybe the reasons they didn't like it are things that do appeal to you, and you do decide to go see it. Either way, I always encourage my fellow film fans, be informed consumers and make your decisions on that. But yeah, every once in a blue moon, there will be a movie like an Avengers Doomsday where maybe you can forego all that, but that's like less than 1% of the time. All right, what's next?
We got Mike, who says, I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four First Steps. I even enjoyed all the previous Fantastic Four movies, but somehow whenever I watch a trailer or promotional material for this new film, I can't escape the feeling it should have minions in it. Does it feel like, what's it called?
Despicable Me?
Yeah.
I again, the trailers for me up until this one have been not overwhelming. They haven't, I don't think the trailers have been great up until this point, but I don't see any Despicable Me comparison or analogy. Anyway. All right, what's next?
The Batman drew the $20 tip. Could you see theaters including the movie start time as a perk of paid membership service like A-List as a way of training to get more subscribers?
Well, first of all, thank you for just tipping in that much, supporting us on that level, man. That's very generous of you. No, I don't see them doing that. And the reason I don't see them doing that is because then the information just becomes public very quickly.
It's going to be on Reddit immediately.
But I mean, I don't hate that idea, right? That, hey, as being an A-List member, when I log on to my AMC app and it instantly recognizes that I am a A-List member, if it includes a piece of information saying 7 o'clock showtime, movie starts at 7:29 or 7:31 or whatever, I would certainly appreciate that. But because that's something that would be good for consumers, AMC will obviously never do it. Because AMC hates us. AMC hates the customers. They hate us. They look at us as lemmings and things to squeeze. And yeah, they don't have a lot of respect for us as, listen, they got really good movie theaters. That's why I go to AMC theaters. And A-List is the best thing in the world. I love A-List. But yeah, AMC hates its customers. I mean, that's the only conclusion I've been able to come to from the way they act, is that they just hate us. Anyway, all right, what's next?
We got Ironheart was mid. Interesting. Finished one of 3 Ironheart. More often than not, I felt like it was a big budget CW show. Some of the acting and action was lame in my opinion, but Riri and Nat's chemistry was good and AI commentary terrifying. Don't care about the Hood crew, but the ending of episode 3 has me interested.
Yeah, I'm again, and to say that it's mid to me is actually a pleasant surprise. I was listen, I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting it to be worse. I was. But there are enough decent things in it and enough things with some real potential that I'm not only going to watch the next 3 episodes, I'm kind of looking forward to watching the next 3 episodes to see where they go. Again, I think the whole Natalie AI thing is just, they didn't earn it. I think it's just kind of dumb, but I agree with you that the dynamic between, and it does raise an interesting question about AI, right? It's like, this isn't Natalie. And it's kind of weird that it's walking around with acting like it's the real person and acting like it has her memories. And it does raise some interesting questions. Again, I don't think the show is great so far, but it is better than I thought it would be. And I'm going to stick around and watch the final 3 episodes. All right, what's next?
We got Brian, who says, I'm disappointed Drake Schreier will most likely be the directing X-Men. He's Bryan Singer 2.0. His film will be more of the same. X-Men needs a big creative mind like the Daniels to give us something unique and different than what we've had before.
You think that way if you want to think that way. Jake Schreier is an excellent director. You clearly have never seen Beef. He took a really simple premise in Beef and made it this profound and fascinating and hilarious and with incredible commentary and great character development and all this kind of stuff. And there's a reason he won all the awards. They won the Golden Globes, the Critics' Choices, the Emmys, won all the awards. There's a reason for that. What he did with Thunderbolts is fantastic. He took a group of B, C, and D level characters that nobody cared about, and he made them compelling and interesting and made great character dynamics, and critics and audiences all scored it through the roof. It's like one of the best scored things that Marvel has done in a long time. Then what the sensibilities he brought to Skeleton Crew as well showed something like that. I mean, I'm sorry, all due respect, and it's all subjective, and you can think whatever you want. But if you're looking at his resume and saying, oh, this is a terrible idea, I don't know what the fuck you're looking for. But hey, to each their own. It's all subjective. Your opinion is no less valid than mine. But that doesn't mean I can't look at your opinion and think that is kind of crazy. Then your shot's kind of crazy to me. But again, it's no less valid than mine. You probably think some of my takes are crazy too, which is totally fair. But yeah, that's kind of a non-starter for me. Anyway, what's next?
Brian says, well, now that we know almost anyone can be in the Sony Marvel films, referring to Punisher, let's go ahead and put Daredevil and Blade in there too. That would genuinely get me even more excited for this film. I don't know why Blade, but
see,
Daredevil
that's the
sense.
thing. Like that's one of the problems with us as film fans. Put this character in it. That'll make it good. No, it won't. It won't. That is a terrible way of looking at things. Look, I use this as an example all the time because it's a great baseline. Most people agree one of the greatest comic book villains in history is Doctor Doom. They had Doctor Doom in 4 movies, and they all sucked. It's not because of Doctor Doom, but saying, just put in this character and put in this character, as if that's going to change anything. You're either going to have a really good movie or you're not. It's not about dropping a character. It's like, it can be any character if you handle them well and write them well and give them depth and make them compelling. And just drop Blade in it. Well, that's not going to make the movie any better unless you have a great compelling story that's already surrounding that. But if you can come up with that with other characters, do that as well. My only point is this, is like, let's just add Daredevil and add Blade and add this guy and add this guy. If you think that is what's going to make a movie good, I don't know. I'm just going to point you to a long laundry list of films in history that have proven that that's not true. So I think we as film fans need to just start looking at this a little bit more big picture. But anyway, that's just kind of my thought on it.
We got
all right. What's next?
Ironheart Cassidy. We all have different tastes when it comes to movies, TV shows, yet I'm baffled on how people are hating on Ironheart. The show is fire. It has black culture, emotion, and stakes. The music is fire, and I love Natalie. And it can be my second favorite MCU show.
Well, that's the beauty of the art, man.
You said it.
It's subjective. I did not see it that way. I don't care what you have in it, is what you put in it. I don't think the music was all that particularly great in it. I don't think there's also some big logic stuff. Like, I'm sorry. Can I gotta say this, but this is the elephant in the room. Riri Williams helped save Wakanda. She helps save Wakanda. There is this, you need to offer an explanation in this show. If Riri's like, oh, I've got no money and I don't have access to tech. Kid, you became kind of besties with the Princess of Wakanda and the new Black Panther, and you helped save that country. Oh, and they have unlimited wealth and unlimited technology. And you were there, and you're telling me you can get on the, like, you have to at least address that. Have a quick scene with Riri on the phone with somebody saying, listen, I want to give you all the resources you need and all the tech, but I think for your development as a creator, your development as an inventor, I think for your development, it's best that we cut you off. I mean, at least have that scene so it makes sense, because honestly, the whole conceit of this show, where it's like, okay, she's this great genius, but she has none of the resources of Tony Stark. She doesn't have access to technology. She doesn't have this and that and the other thing. When, like, she was literally in Wakanda and helped save the world and save Wakanda.
I would think she's an asset.
You would think she's got a little bit of access to stuff. They needed to at least address that a little bit, I think. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Colby, I know everyone is saying, oh, we addressed this as one of our parts, but I know everyone is saying that we don't like Ironheart and how it's another MCU project, but I liked it, but can we discuss why fans were review bombing the show on Rotten Tomatoes before it even released? It was at a 32% before the episodes even dropped, which we obviously addressed.
Well, yeah, we already addressed that. And can I just say that anybody who uses the phrase MCU, unless you're saying it ironically,
just dismiss them.
My starting assumption is you're a moron. You're a moron. Like, literally the first 20 plus movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe all had white male straight leads. 20 in a row. 5 okay, 12. After you get past 12 in a row, that kind of looks more like you've got an agenda to keep everybody else out. And just now, because they no longer seem to have that exclusion agenda of keeping everybody else out, and they're allowing some other types of characters, by the way, that actually reflects the world we live in, you get some of these troglodytes. MCU, listen how clever I am. I said MCU. Just utter complete morons. Yeah. Anyway.
Who completely dismissed the very idea of what a superhero is and what a superhero represents because they're saving all of mankind, and yet you're like, it needs to only be saving the mankind I like.
Yeah.
Well, you're the villain.
Yeah. It's, again, so I just, again, it may be fair, it may be unfair, but it just is. As soon as I see anybody anywhere that uses the phrase MCU, my brain just automatically switches to as, oh, this person's an imbecile. This person's an idiot, and I should never take anything they say seriously. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Sci-fi extremists. Ironheart has great visuals. I'm interested in the overall plot, but it feels very rushed. I care more about her AI and family dynamic than I do the Hood crew. Their character intros felt like, this is Katana, she's got my back, don't care about any of them.
Yeah, I again, other than Anthony Ramos and his cousin, who I think are I like their dynamic. I like them both as characters. Other than those two, I think the crew is all a waste. Again, I thought Slug, with being from Madripoor and all that kind of stuff, I thought there was potential there, but then they didn't do anything with that potential. And again, then there's the Fight Club girls and the explosive. All of them I just found borderline irritating, and it was just all exposition. Here's this person, they do this, and here's this person, and they do this, and it's just, yeah, I thought that was kind of a waste. I really did. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Sci-fi extreme. Oh, whoops. Here we go. Sci-fi extreme. I really want to be excited for F4, and the new trailer looks cool and all, but maybe MCU fatigue or whatever is real thing because I care only enough that I got tickets for Thursday to avoid spoilers, but I'm still not hyped enough to get more tickets. Maybe you just don't care about Fantastic Four.
Well, that's the thing. For like all I can speak for is for myself, and for myself, up until this trailer, I haven't been. I mean, I'm looking forward to it because it's Fantastic Four, but it hasn't. Again, up until this trailer, it hasn't done anything to move the needle for me. So I'm going to go see it. And it's not, here's the thing. I think this is one of the big things that disproves the idea of comic book movie fatigue, is that these trailers have done nothing for me, but I'm still planning on seeing it. Like any other movie where the trailers aren't doing it for me, I'm just not going to go see them. This trailer the trailers for Fantastic Four, again, up until today, the trailers for Fantastic Four have not done anything to get me really excited for it and hasn't done anything to move the needle. Since any other movie that kind of does that, I just don't plan on seeing them, but I am for this. If there was such thing as comic book movie fatigue, I just wouldn't go see it, but we are. You are. Again, Deadpool and Wolverine just came out and made like $1.5 billion or 1 point whatever billion dollars. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made close to $1 billion. I mean, you can't tell me there's such thing as comic book movie fatigue and then people say Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was a movie of B, C, and D level throwaway leftover characters from a bunch of Disney Plus shows. Of course it didn't make a lot. I told people for a year that movie wasn't going to make a ton of money. But yeah, I think the very fact that the trailers have been kind of underwhelming, yet we're all still planning on seeing it, I think that kind of proves it's mediocre fatigue. It's mediocrity fatigue. So many people think it's just a coincidence, pure coincidence, that as the overall quality of these movies have started to suffer, that interest has started to drop. That's not a coincidence. It's, as Vision would say, it's causality. They are connected to each other. And, and hopefully Superman will get the engines revving again. We'll see in a couple of weeks. All right, what's next?
Anonymous did not like Ironheart. Characters are all ones that are stereotypical and flat, and so far Riri is pretty obnoxious. Also, Riri and her family, Natalie as well, do not feel like family. The gang is all so weird as well.
I disagree when it comes to Riri and her mom. I actually thought that felt very authentic to me. I really, that's one of the things that I actually quite liked about the show so far is the mom and the dad. And it's funny because I didn't think I would like the mom in her first scene. The first scene with the mom is like the mom sitting around being chitty chatty with a bunch of her girlfriends and stuff like that. And I thought, this is going to be just kind of a stereotype character. But like I say, and man, listen, there's this moment. I think maybe the best moment of the series so far, and it involves her mom. And I can't remember the name of the dead stepdad. So I'm just going to call him Rick. I know that wasn't the character's name. I'm just going to call him Rick. Remember a little bit earlier we were saying like it raises a really interesting ethical questions too about AI and how we use it. Oh, people in live chat saying is Gary. Thank you. When Riri's mom meets the Natalie AI, and then she's talking to Riri later, and the mom says she's got her smile, she's got her mannerisms. Can you make one of Gary? That, I'm going to say that was one of the most emotionally moving lines I've ever seen in a Marvel show. I'm not saying it's on the level of what is grief if not love persevering. It's not on necessarily. It's not. That's still the king of all the lines. But I remember watching that show last night, and when she said that line, it took me aback. I literally, my body physically went like that when she said it, because in that line, there's pain, and in that line, that you're seeing glimpses of loss, and for me, it was a very powerful moment. It was really a very powerful moment. And so while I am not loving this show by any stretch, I've already talked about it. I have many issues with it, but I think that dynamic and that relationship, and I think those characters in particular, those are a couple of the reasons why I'm thinking this show is still watchable, and I'm going to continue watching it. Anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. All right, what's next?
We got James with a two-parter. Hey, John and crew, I've been watching you off and on since the Man of Steel review. You know how it can be. Can't make every episode. Today is the 4th anniversary of my dad's passing.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
From cancer, and I wanted to thank you for getting me through it. He lived 40 minutes away, and I'd listen to you guys on the way to his to try and think about something fun, and on the way home to get a laugh out of the fan questions and banter. It helped so much during that time, and I just wanted to thank you and your community.
Well, thank you for the kind words. And, you know, one of the, again, I'll say this all the time. I'll continue to say this all the time. One of the great things about movies and the communities that talk about them is that they don't take away our problems. They just offer us temporary reprieves from them. They offer us a chance to let our minds and our imaginations and our thoughts just kind of rest, rejuvenate. And, you know, when we're talking about things that involve our imaginations, and we're talking about things that involve stories, and we get to have those things, and it just gives our minds, I can only speak for myself, I know for me, it gives us, our minds, a chance to have a little bit of an oasis. And again, I always say this, when I finish watching a movie, or I finish having a conversation with people about movies, and I come back, my problems are still there. I'm just in a little bit of a better position to navigate them, because I've allowed my mind and my thoughts and everything a little bit of a break from them. And now I come back, I'm a little bit more rejuvenated. I'm a little bit more restored. And that's one of the reasons why I love the fan community. And I include that with people I know in real life, the people I talk to online, is that when things are tough or things are hard, even when things are great, obviously, but also when things are tough and hard, they just offer us that reprieve. And I think that's great. And it's one of the reasons why I don't just think movies are just great escapes. Movies are important. And I think and stories are important to our very human experience. So anyway, I'm glad it could be that for you as well. And thank you for sharing that, man. I appreciate it. All right, what's next?
Swole Daywalker. Hey, John watched the final F4 trailer, and I think it's just okay. I was hoping that this trailer hooked me, but I still have that much to be desired feeling. Hopefully it's good, but Superman seems to be running laps around Fantastic Four in every way.
It does, but I do have to say this trailer for me was different. Like I have felt that way about all the other ones, but this trailer for me, just by giving me that one little detail about understanding there's a big time gap between when the Herald shows up and when Galactus shows up. And now I can see the structure of the film, and now I've got a sense of what the movie is going to be and what it's about. And then they threw in a couple extra, again, the Clobberin time stuff I thought was great. This is the one for me that has started moving the needle, but the marketing for Superman has been next level. It doesn't mean that Superman will be better than Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four could very well end up being the better movie. But I mean, the marketing for Superman has absolutely been next level. They and their trailers have been great. And yeah, now we'll see. We'll see if the movie's any good. All right, what's next?
We got Blake. Hypothetically, if the DCU is done well, do you think the potential is there for it to ever hit the heights of the MCU did? That the MCU did? Is the potential there for the DC characters at this moment in time there, or did they miss their window in pop culture? No way.
No. Look, is the potential there? That's the key word in all this, right? Potential. Absolutely, the potential is there for that. 100%.
Yeah.
Is it likely that they'll have like every other movie will be $1 billion film?
It's a long road.
Yeah, I mean that's a long way there. That's a long way to get there. But is the potential that could happen? Yes. And it's going to take a little bit of time. Remember, it took years for them to run the DC brand into the ground. It's going to take time to build it up to whatever its potential could be. So now it's up to them. Do they make good movies or don't they? Listen, again, you guys know Superman is my most anticipated movie of the year, but it's the movies that I most anticipate that also set me up for my biggest disappointments. I think that's true of all of us as film fans, right? Superman could end up being sicker. Again, I was convinced, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in film fandom, I was convinced that Kraven the Hunter was going to be good. I believed in it. I still think the trailers were good. Ricky Tikki Tacky has a lot of choices. Aaron Taylor Johnson, whatever movie he wants to do. He seemed really excited about this. You had one of my favorite actors, Russell Crowe. I thought the trailers looked exciting. And I went in to Kraven the Hunter as a sweet, naive, little newborn baby doe in the snow, believing it was going to be good.
Sometimes you got to learn things for yourself.
But then you had to learn the hard way. Life took out its dick and smacked me in the face.
Oh, that's a hard lesson for.
It said, no. And that movie sucked. And look, I'm not saying that's what Superman is going to be. I've got all the faith in the world in James Gunn.
It's going to go full Ralph?
It's going to go full Ralph. I have all the faith in the world in James Gunn. But it happens. And the marketing for Superman has been great. But now James Gunn's got to deliver. And James Gunn has always delivered for me. But everybody's got a bad day at the office, and maybe Superman is his. We'll find out. The marketing's been great, but now the movie's got to deliver.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, well, Sam Fisher thinks this is the best Fantastic Four trailer yet. I love seeing more of the dynamic between everyone, particularly Johnny and Ben. It seems like we may have gotten a hint that Reed actually disturbed Galactus. This is also the trailer they should have put out 2 months ago.
I think this should have been the second trailer.
I do too.
Like, I don't think the first trailer was great, but I'm okay with the first trailer not giving us a lot about the movie, right?
It just showed us it was a period piece, and you know.
This should have been the second trailer. This should have been a trailer that came out a month and a half, 2 months ago. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And really, it truly, does feel like a second trailer. It doesn't feel like a third trailer. It feels like a second trailer. And I think you're right. This is one they should have put out before.
I still have this weird, I don't think it's going to be this situation, but I'm almost wondering if Galactus is sent ultimately by like an RSM in this universe because it's been judged. And maybe that's a link to our judgment in 616. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting dynamics in the comics between the Celestials and Galactus.
Yeah, but I just don't know if they're going to go there.
Yeah, I don't think that they will. I really don't. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the character, though. All right, what's next?
Blake says, Highlander just jumped to my second most anticipated movie that's been announced after Superman with Russell Crowe announcement. Get Momoa to play Kurgan, and it could... I could see that maybe. Rocky IV as the objective best movie of all time.
Number one, no such thing. But I do love Rocky IV. Momoa as Kurgan isn't a bad idea. Yeah.
He's got to really play that dark,
Dave
though.
Bautista, I think Dave Bautista has a little bit of that. I'm not saying he's as good of an actor as Clancy Brown, but he's got a little bit of that Clancy Brown energy to him, right? So, but Momoa as the Kurgan.
But I don't want any, like... He's got to do it dark, man. I don't want to see like any joke, like not light jokes, like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but that has nothing to do with the actor. That's can be the script.
Yeah.
Right. But like I can see Momoa playing that church scene and doing the whole better to burn out than fade away. Yeah. I can see Momoa doing that. That's actually not a bad little thing. Yeah. Guys, listen. Highlander is one of my top 10 all-time favorite films. It's the one movie on my, like I say, like Lord of the Rings, I say Shawshank Redemption, I say Godfather, like everybody, oh yeah, right? But when I say Highlander on my top 10, that's the one that everybody goes, wait, what? The Highlanders? Yeah. Highlander's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So I am so excited about this. My boy Henry is one of my favorite guys in Hollywood, so I'm super excited about him being the Highlander. You got, one of the John Wick guys coming in and directing it. Now you're adding one of my all-time favorite actors in Russell Crowe. I'm pretty stoked for this movie, man. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, John, I don't know what game systems you play on, but when you have time and can play or watch, you need to check out Claire Obscura Expedition 33. We get a lot of these recommendations. It's a masterpiece that's got my...
Game of the year?
Yeah. I don't say that lightly. Charlie Cox and Andy Serkis have lead roles in it.
Yeah, I've got to get that a go because everybody's telling, because I'm also a fan of turn-based games. And so like the old school Final Fantasy and stuff like that. I've had so many people write in and tell me about it. So my current game systems that I have is I got the new Switch 2, which I've been spending a lot of time on. And I've got a PlayStation 5. So I understand it's available on PlayStation 5. So yeah, pretty quickly here, I'm going to be downloading that and giving it a shot. All right, what's next?
Okay, sorry. There's like two-parters that are intertwined, so I had to figure out where they all start. Anorak, the all-knowing, says this is actually one of three. All right, John, picture this as a post-credit scene for Fantastic Four. We see Loki sitting in the throne as the god of stories. His eyes are closed, but he hears echoing cries and screams across the branches of timelines, and slowly shaken as he cannot hold the multiverse anymore. And then he opens his eyes to see one of the branch timelines glowing with infinite colors as a powerful variant, RDJ, is on a conquest to his throne with the multiversal variants of heroes and villains. Then Loki ascends from his throne. It's up here. And summons the Prime Branch, which is 616, and begins to assemble the multiversal Avengers and villains. Also, it would be nice to see a pair of variants of Green Goblin flying in a V-line migration style, throwing pumpkin bombs in Secret Wars.
Yeah, no, I mean, that all sounds great on a comic book page to me. Yeah, now look, I do believe Loki... Here's what I think. Again, and I have nothing to base this on. This is pure speculation on my part as a fan, just like anybody else. When you look at the comic book version of the Secret Wars story, you've got a very central character in Molecule Man, right? Who's kind of at the heart of everything. In the kind of the same way that they replaced the role of Spider-Man in the true Civil War story, I think Loki is going to kind of play the role of Molecule Man in it. That, or maybe Sentry. But I have a feeling it's going to be Loki. I don't expect to see Loki or anything like that in a Fantastic Four post-credit scene. I'm really not expecting to see that at all. But the role that Loki plays, I think, will be central. I think it's going to be the Molecule Man thing. I think Doctor Doom is going to get control of Loki, and that's going to kind of become... He's going to kind of become the MacGuffin of the film. Again, I'm just guessing and I'm just speculating like everybody else, but that's kind of where I think they might be going with that. All right, what's next?
Two-parter from Cultured Inside. Hi, John. I had the chance to see the F1 premiere in IMAX on Monday.
Nice.
I have to say the experience was incredibly immersive. The film stayed in full IMAX format the entire time. No aspect ratio changes. Just pure IMAX glory from start to finish. They did a fantastic job. It had heart. The cast had great chemistry, and surprisingly, there were only 20 minutes of trailers. All in all, a great night for me and for cinema. Go IMAX.
I'm going to see F1 tonight. And guys, I need a good one. I have been mildly to more extremely been excited about the last 3 movies I've seen, and I haven't loved any of the last 3 movies I've seen. I went to go, I mean, I didn't mind all of them, but I haven't loved any of them. Like Elio wasn't bad, but I didn't love it. 28 years later, I didn't think it was bad, but it underwhelmed me. And then Jurassic World Rebirth, a movie I've been telling everybody for like 6 months. This movie looks like a return to the true form of Jurassic Park, and telling everybody how good I think this movie's going to be. And it's not that good. That's 3 in a row, guys. I need a win. I need to walk out of a movie having loved it. I really need that. And I'm thinking F1's going to be that movie for me tonight. So fingers crossed. And then I'm hoping I'm going to go see Megan 2.0 tomorrow night. I'm hoping that'll be maybe 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I have fun with Megan, so I hope Megan 2's good, but I'm really hoping I get to walk out of F1 with a big smile on my face because I need it, man.
Yeah, I'm going to try to lock down a 40X of F1 if that
Oh, yeah, I
exists.
got to see it in 40X. All right, what's next?
Mr. I can think of one way to verify TV with paid streamers on Rotten Tomatoes. Come to an agreement with streamers to require you log into your streaming account before leaving a Rotten Tomatoes review. They should be able to track what you viewed there.
You can't do that. I mean, like, number one, log in with your Netflix account to leave a review for Squid Game. That's fine, but just because you have a Netflix account doesn't mean you watch Squid Game. And ain't no way
they're not giving up tracking.
Netflix is giving out their viewer information,
because then everyone knows how many people view.
Yeah, Netflix. None of the streamers give out their specific individual viewer watch pattern and information stuff. They want to keep that all to themselves. There's no way they're doing that. So, I mean, it's better than nothing saying, "Well, I have a Disney Plus account." I mean, that's better than nothing. But it doesn't actually tell you if you actually watched Ironheart or not. I think it is better than nothing. It's a step in the right direction. But anyway, there's no way that any of these streamers are going to share their viewer data. That's one of their most valuable commodities, and they're not sharing that with anybody. Mm-hmm. All right, what's next?
The Konami man says, would it be good or a bad decision for Marvel to use the Iron Man helmet cam, hero cam for RDJ's Doom? Do we want to differentiate Doom more from Iron Man since he's the villain?
It all depends on how they're setting up Dr. Doom.
He did say it was like different masks, same plan
task
or task.
Same task, different mask.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't have the same technology inside of it.
No.
It all depends on how they're setting up Dr. Doom. If Dr. Doom just isn't utilizing a lot of technology, then just have an iron mask. But if he is, well, then everybody's got their little heads up display. So I can't answer whether I think it'd be a good thing for them to do it or not until I see what their setup for the character is. Once we see the setup for the character, well, then we can determine, okay, for this character and the way they're utilizing him and the way they're whatever context they're putting him in, that will inform our opinion about whether or not we think he should have that kind of a mask or not. So I got to wait till I see the movie and get a sense of the character before I can kind of give my opinion on that. All right. What's next?
Raymond Reddington says, out of interest, John, if AMC said what time the film would actually start, how early would you get to the theater?
5 minutes. I'd say give myself a good 5-minute buffer.
You order ahead, though?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I am one of those guys that I am one of those guys because on my AMC app, when you do a movie, when you go to see a movie,
yeah,
gives you the option to order your concession food in advance. Now, I am in a place in my life right now that I no longer order AMC concessions.
But if they did this,
yeah. But again, so I would aim to give myself at least a good 5. Like, I'm the type of person that I like to show up early to things. Like, to me, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're disrespectful. Like, that's kind of I believe that. I'm not the one who came up with that. That's one of the things I believe. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're disrespectful. So I always like to leave at least a little buffer. And for me, it would be at least 5 minutes. Maybe even 6 or 7 minutes, but that's when I would show up to a theater. If they told me what time the movie was starting at, and I know where my seat is, and I paid for it, I'd probably show up about a good 5 minutes before the movie started. All right, what's next?
Homie Joe says, hey, John and crew, why does it feel like Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars are supposed to be a 7th and 8th Avenger movie, and we should be getting like 2 other Avenger movies for the multiverse? Did the multiverse flop?
Multiverse was a waste of time, but these definitely feel like I disagree with you because I definitely feel like Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, these are definitely multiversal stories. And these are the movies they're going to use to wrap up multiverse. I don't want I don't want 2 more. I don't want the multiverse stretched out for another 4 years.
Sure.
It's time to wrap it up. And as they said in Deadpool, yes, let's just call it what it was. The multiverse was not the multiverse saga will be one we're all anxious to forget. Had some big wins in it. There were some really good projects in there, but overall, I think the multiverse stuff was a failure.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, here's our last of the tips. Jason says, is Fast X Part 2 still in the books? It's oddly quiet.
Somebody else asked me about that the other day. I can't imagine they're not going to finish this thing. Look, all I'm going to say is that I believe there is a non-zero chance that they... What was that thing called again?
Europussy.
Europussy. There it is. Europussy. The beret and the cigarette.
Because I started with that.
Europussy. I believe there is a non-zero chance this movie doesn't happen at all. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, for fans of the franchise that do want to see it, I hope they get it. But the more time that passes, the more I think there is, again, I think it's a very small chance it doesn't happen, but it's not zero. And I think every week that passes that we don't hear of actual movement on this thing, I think increases it from like 4% chance that it doesn't happen to 5%. And then 5% to 7%, and then 7 to 7.5%, and 7.5% to 9%. Like every week that passes that we don't hear anything, I think the chances of it not happening at all increase. So again, right now, odds are, I think it's going to happen. But I'm starting to think that there is a chance it doesn't. And we'll see how much longer we got to wait for that. All right. Do we have some member questions?
Yes, we do.
All right. We got a little bit of time left. Let's take some of our member questions.
Amin says, one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to F4 is the setting. I think it's such a smart idea to go for the retro futuristic look. It sets it apart from other films. Otherwise, I think it honestly would have felt like the first Silver Surfer movie. Also loving the family dynamic in the trailer. Hoping Marvel sticks to the landing with this one.
I think because it accomplishes a couple of things, right? Like not only is it just beautiful, like this retro futuristic kind of world, not only is it beautiful, but even just visually, it firmly establishes this isn't our world, right? This isn't our world. And maybe that's a detail that you can forget if you're watching a movie and it's just in a world that looks exactly like 2025 North America. And maybe you just forget every now and again. It's like, all right, this is a totally different world. But by going this route, not only is it gorgeous and beautiful and allow you to do some kind of interesting things, but it's also a constant visual reminder that this is a completely different world. So I think it knocks over a number of dominoes. I think it's a really good move on their part. All right, what's next?
Joe says, hey, John and crew, hope your day is going great. Do you think they will show the first episode of Alien Earth at SDCC this year? And do you think we will see a trailer for Voltron or Masters of the Universe?
Okay, well, as far as, I don't remember, when does Alien Earth start? August?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them showing a first episode of Alien Earth.
Yeah.
At SDCC, because that's Noah no, what's his what's the showrunner's name again? The guy who did Legion.
Right.
I want to say Noah Hawley, but I don't think that's it. Anybody in the live chat? It is, people saying it is Noah Hawley. Okay, I was right. I think he loves San Diego Comic-Con. So I think there's a decent chance about that. Masters of the Universe, I can't remember when that movie's even supposed to come out. Like literally just finished filming it.
Right.
So I don't know if now's the time to show a trailer for it. As far as Voltron goes, sorry, Henry. I hate saying this because it's got my boy Henry in it. I've kind of lost my interest in it. Once Amazon said that they don't believe in this project and they're going to treat it like garbage and they're just going to dump it on streaming instead of giving it a theatrical release, I've kind of lost my interest in it. Yeah. And that's not a conscious choice. That's just happened. I realize, I'm not really interested in this movie anymore. They don't believe in it. So I don't know that I need to believe in it. And I believe it says something about it that they're just going to dump it on streaming. I'm not expecting it's going to be very good. I hope I'm wrong. It's got my boy Henry.
But at the same time, if we're wrong, it's going to be so frustrating because it's just going to be like, then why didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Like if this movie ends up being good, that's just going to add to the frustration. Because I would have wanted to see like giant robot lions on the big screen, not in a fucking living room. It's going to be even more frustrating.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what's next?
We got King Daddy Goat. Hey, crew, with Squid Games 3 premiering Friday, are you excited? John, did you ever go back and watch Squid Games 2? Time's ticking, mister. Thanks for all you do.
I never have.
Rob was pretty happy about it.
Actually, Rob and I were talking before the show started today. We were talking, like, Rob's like, oh, we got Squid Game 3, season 3 coming up. And I'm like, I still haven't watched season 2. And look, that's really weird because I loved season 1. I really liked season 1. But for whatever reason, all the marketing for season 2 just made it look like season 1 all over again. And I've heard that that's not the case. But I just never got around to watching season 2. So I can't say I'm excited for season 3 because I haven't even watched season 2 yet. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to get around to watching season 2 by the time at some point I will watch season 2. But I know I'm not going to get around to watching season 2 before season 3 comes out. So, yeah, anyway, there's that. All right. One more, and then we'll call it a day. What's next?
Sure. Dakota Moon, I might have missed it, but did you guys watch the trailer for A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey? I hadn't heard of it, and I was completely sold, hook, line, and sinker.
We talked about it 3 months ago at CinemaCon. They showed it to us at CinemaCon 3 months ago. I think it looks weird. I mean, I love everybody in it, but I watched it. I'm like, huh? Like, I don't know. Nothing about it looked entertaining to me, but you never know. Like, I also was really questioned the trailers for The Life of Chuck, which they also showed us at CinemaCon. I didn't think that looked very good, but I ended up enjoying The Life of Chuck. This one, I don't know. I mean, Colin Farrell, I love Colin Farrell and everything, but I don't know. This doesn't look all that good to me. Hopefully I'm wrong. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, I'm going to go see F1 tonight, so keep your guys' eyes open for my out of theater reaction tonight to F1. I'm going to put that up, and then of course we'll talk more about it in depth on tomorrow's show. Speaking of which, don't forget to come on back and join us for tomorrow's show. Me, Jonathan, Rob will all be back here. Hopefully you'll be joining us as well. So for the now on his way home, Robert Meyer Burnett, Jonathan Voico, our technical producer.
Till tomorrow.
And of course, to all of you, thanks for making our show part of your day. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.